So there you have it, guys. We are in the era of the Marvels. So really cool trailer. I think overall, I think this is probably some of the most detail we've seen, period, for a update in a while. Like the character face, I mean, and everything, it doesn't look like they went low res on the pixels and stuff like that. So we get the Captain Marvel uniform inside here. We get Kamala Khan with a little cool jump effect back to the thing. Like that effect alone, I don't think we've ever seen them do something like that in games. So it's pretty cool to see that. And then we get Spectrum as well inside here. Really cool, standoff with the three of them. So these are the characters that we're currently getting in the game. So now the question is, because I couldn't really find anything in here to say, I mean, I think it's like apparent, right, that we're gonna get tier 4s for these characters, at the very least for Captain Marvel. So you go over on the forums, and you can say this CM fragment of Marvel Future Fight. The ability of 3 superheroes who use light have been entangled due to an incident, and they now switch places with each other whenever they use their powers. Higher, further, faster together. Check out the trio of superheroes who can absorb light, see light, and turn light into matter. Thank you. So so now this is going to be a very interesting update, because when you go inside here, we've got Kamala Khan, and her uniform looks pretty set. Like it doesn't look so different from what we just saw inside the trailer. Kamala was a really good T3 speed female T3. We need speed female T3s right now. Like if you were to go over on the take a look inside here, and we would say, hey, let's take a look at the speed superheroes who were women. I hate when it does this with the team. Like for some reason it does this every single time inside of BlueStacks. Anyways, so we get the speed females who are superheroes inside of here, and you take a look right now, you pretty much got Black Widow and Gamora, and then you've got Gwen, and that's about it really. Like they missed the opportunity on the speed for Shuri. We didn't get her there, and so then you have Kamala, and behind her, I mean, I don't really see like a bunch of speed type females coming behind Kamala to necessarily compete. Like if you look at the roster of speed females here, the only one that I would potentially say is like could be potential to beat her, I forgot about Luna Snow. Luna Snow's inside there for speed females, is going to be Rogue. So those are the characters that you basically have in T4. So we've got a few of them, but it would be nice to see Kamala get a little beef up there. Like I for some reason it's gonna feel really weird in an update where you've basically got Kamala Khan and she's on the level of, Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, and then you basically just leave her at T3. So like, is the potential there for her to receive a T4 along with Captain Marvel? We'll have to see. Inside the female, so Captain Marvel currently is a universal female type character. I think it's a foregone conclusion that she's going to get her tier 4. Like it just is. When you look at the females who are sitting in there that could potentially have their tier 4s, because superhero females, Wanda is probably one of them. I don't know when we exactly see her, come back into the fold of the MCU, or they just do it in terms of the comics. It just keeps doing it. What is going on? I'm gonna have to figure this out at some point. But then you look at Athena. Athena could be a possibility. I just don't see them revisiting the Eternals. You have Jane Foster. I think this was a one-off for her, so I don't see them returning to Jane Foster anytime soon. You've got Shadow Shell, who's filling out the billet of universal female. I think that she should easily eclipse her, but that's her nearest competition currently right now inside there. And you can see like just the universal branch inside of here of superheroes. We've dug deep into the males, right? So we've got our male superheroes sitting inside there. So seeing Captain Marvel basically come up and cover down on the universal superhero days, That'd be pretty cool. Now you also have the ability that she has this uniform, which made her a villain, which makes it even more interesting, right? Is that with this uniform, she was a villain. If the uniform's still good, that'd be a big up, because you basically then switch between universal superhero and universal villain with the character. So like, that'd be pretty interesting, because then you basically have her on all sides. Now you're looking at Jean. She would be competing there against Jean, and I don't think that her current uniform is going to basically help her eclipse Jean at all, not even in the slightest. And then we got other characters in the supervillain field that she could compete against, namely Hela. And I really don't see anybody else that should be competing with her inside that field but Hela, really. That's the only one, unless they decide at some point to give Angela a T4 as well, which I just don't see that happening anytime soon. So we'll see. Next up, we've got Spectrum. I really like the Spectrum character model. I think they did a really good job on her hair. I thought it was one of the better looks, especially after the Storm debacle, that they, you know, let her shine through in the way that she should shine through. It's going to be nice to see her without the jacket and the big boots, but we'll see what happens there. Now, I've been remiss in a bunch of videos because I haven't leveled her up to level 70 and gotten her awaken skill. And I've also mentioned that she hasn't had her awakening, which was something else, right? So it's important to point out that she does have an awakening. So even though she has not had a uniform, and this will be her first uniform, she has her awakening inside of here, and this should be good overall. Now, I think because she has her awakening, however, that it does leave the potentiality for an awakening to between the three of these characters to be missed. And what I mean by that, if we go back to the trailer and the whole concept of the movie, where basically using their powers, tags one in, tags one out, they're gonna have to build that in probably to the kit somewhere if they're gonna include Spectrum inside of that. They're basically gonna have to build it into saying like the 1 through 5 skills, so that way you can say like, hey, when the 5 skill happens, they tag in, they tag out, or you know, this character randomly tags in, tags out, or something like that. I'm hoping to see something like that, because they can't do it with the Transcendence to evoke that feeling of like the characters tagging in with, you know, her currently with her skill. So like, let's go inside the preview skill real quick. So you can see she's got America Chavez and Quasar inside of her awakening ability. And so this right here would have been really, really cool in terms of like the tag in, tag out for the 3 characters. I just don't know that that happens with her already having awakening, because you might have to redo some things. I mean, and it doesn't seem like, you know, it seems like maybe a simple thing, but I don't think it's as simple as some people think. So it'd be nice to see that, but you potentially have 3 characters inside of an update who could all receive a tier 4, because I think a lot of people will feel pretty shitty about just purchasing uniforms. Like if it's just uniforms, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It's November 2nd. We'll probably won't see this update until next week, probably the 10th, right around the time the movie releases. If it's just uniforms, realistically, I think you skip it until Black Friday, because these, like, there's no incentive. They're gonna have to basically give incentive in terms of the 50% off with the Black Friday coming up for these uniforms, and it's gonna be even less incentive for you to try to purchase them early if all they're gonna do is give the characters uniforms and then just one of them receives the T4. Where I am opposed to the rate at which we get T4s inside the game, because you don't end up having the ability to actually save up materials, because it just points out their inability to change the rewards over years. We're still operating with like 2015 rewards in 2023, something like that. Like these reward models have not been updated in a while, and they haven't introduced new ways for us to gain tier 4 materials and stuff like that at an accelerated rate, which basically puts a lot of us who aren't purchasing, like I T4'd a character, for instance, and you can see right now that my books have replenished for my my superhero, but they haven't replenished for my blast. I had to save up for maybe 4 months of skipping T4s, and I'm nowhere close to having enough materials to T4 another character at all. Like, this is not happening. There's no way I can T4 either of these characters. At best, they all go to level 80 for me if that's where they go. But that's the problem, is that we potentially in this update could see, you know, Spectrum and Kamala just receive an update and Captain Marvel receive a tier 4. Or we end up seeing Captain Marvel receive her tier 4, and then like they did with Sabretooth, where they gave him the T3 on the next update, then we see like one of the two characters get a T4. But this could be the one instance where I believe that they should have a T4 for 3 characters, and then you just basically get to choose which characters you want a T4 or not. Also, if you do it right, like if you do it right and you go inside the store, because you T4 three key female characters, that could be key. So like, I didn't do it yet for her, sorry about that, but she has a lot more competition in my opinion. But if you go inside the blast, excuse me, my fault, the blast category for superheroes, which is what she is, right? Inside the blast category for superheroes, she's competing really against her. Like, that's it. It's just Storm she's competing against, but she has some competition behind her. Excuse me. She also has Blue Dragon. Excuse me. But she also has some competition behind her potentially. And fuck, I am all off this morning. Excuse me. Storm, Sherrog, and then we're looking over here at Blue Dragon. Now, behind those 3 characters, those are the only 3 characters, she has some competition in the form that she could get Hope Summers at some point coming up, which I'm surprised they haven't revisited this character, especially with the character model that they had. It was a really cool character. She's a very cool character, Phoenix Force type character in the comics. Really cool there. Psylocke, she hasn't been touched in a little while other than this Captain Britain uniform. And I thought that they could have returned to this character, especially with the stuff that's happening in the Fall of X and everything. You still have the ability for them to return to Spider-Woman in the next movie for Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, it's been delayed, so maybe not. And then as we roll out, you still have a deep bench in terms of Crystal, Ilyana Rasputin, Magic, and even Sue Storm inside the mix there. I think that we could at some point see a T4, but I'm not sure if the show is still going, Ironheart, but I think it's been delayed at the very least, if not canceled at this point. So Echo, I think the show has been reworked, so she may be getting something as well in the future. So there's a lot of potentiality in the blast type female category, basically, for you to see a major shakeup in terms of what's coming down the road for characters that could. Now, that doesn't exempt that any of these characters could end up being tiers. Like, I mean, Nico, Sister Grimm, excuse me, was a great T3 in terms of what they gave, especially with the costume look. I think a lot of people simping for it, but it's a good look for the character either way. So it's like one of those things where the characters basically, they could have a time to shine inside this update. And while I'm never gonna be an advocate for pay to play features and stuff like that, depending on what they do inside the shop for the month, for the Black Friday deals and stuff like that, they could incentivize players to go out and purchase some of these T3 materials, especially if these uniforms just hit it out the park and they decided to go all in on T4 type characters for these 3, and then they incentivize. At the very least, I hate to say this, free-to-play players, but the game has to have a sustained rate where people are playing. And at the very least, the whales jump in and they provide you that surge in terms of giving you that monetary value that the game needs going into Q2 of the year, for the shareholders and investors to basically say, hey, there's a reason to keep the game going. So like, they could do that and incentivize players to, with good deals, have T4 materials on the slot. So that way you could be like, hey, you know, Black Friday's here, I'm going all in and I'm going to purchase all these T4s, T4 material options, you know, upgrades and stuff like that, because they sweeten the pot really well for them going into the Black Friday deals. And then, you know, players are able to upgrade multiple characters. I'm not saying a free-to-play player should do that. My money's probably going to Remnant 2's DLC, things like that. But I'm just saying, I'm not opposed to it, because the game needs money to have continuation of the game in the future years. And if I can even find ways to suggest that a pay-to-play player is going to dip into their pocket and their purses to hit it, you can just wait and develop your materials, but their influx of money will help us continue to have a game to play. That's the absolute reality. Hate to say that, because you could end up with a character like Captain Marvel, who will end up inside Otherworld Battle and stuff like that for you to play. So that's what it is, guys. Little excited about the update. I'm not sure how the movie's gonna fare, but it's a very short runtime kind of movie, but it should be feel good. Wow, I never realized how bad Doctor Strange's fingers were on this. Like, has anybody noticed? They got Rob Liefeld type fingers on Doctor Strange's uniform. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.